Neglected by family, Naruto becomes the greatest swordsman.
All around him was darkness. Looking around he saw a faint reflection, but as he looked into it all he saw a dark figure as tall as him with pale royal purple eyes filled with anger and disapproval. Curious, the figure's confines shattered, bringing them into the same space before it pointed behind him, making him turn to see another dark figure in a home of some kind with the same dark figure next to him, except he was younger, at the most 4 or 5, with 10 objects flowing behind him like him, and the shadowed figure next to him with an older feminine figure was kneeling in front of him. "Naruto-kun, what is it you want to do?" the figure asked, putting her hands on the mentioned Naruto's cheek, making the person watching eyes widen. "Naruto? But how?" he thought when he continued to listen. "I want to become stronger so I can protect everyone that's precious to me and become someone great like my mom and dad," Naruto said with what he could assume was a smile on his face while the older figure tilted her head. "And what about me? Do I fall under that category, my loving wolf?" the figure said, making the smaller bob its head up and down, although he could feel that he was flustered. "Oh, of course, Kagu-chan, I have to be strong enough to be your husband after all," he said, making the older woman holding him close to her as she put him in her lap, rubbing his head. "You don't need to be strong for me, Naruto. You already have all the strength you need," she said, patting his head as the royal purple eyes closed slowly from the humming that echoed before it faded with just the humming still in existence. Turning to the shadowed figure staring at him blankly, he said, "Why show me this, and why do we share the same name? Who was that or more so you were talking to? What's going on?" The figure continued to stare at him before it said in a two-toned voice that rasped, "Soon I will be free to make that hermit pay for what he did to me and those I love. But till then try not to die." The shadow extended his arm with the palm facing him, pushing him out with the last thing he saw was a pair of 6 red rings with royal purple tomo. Naruto's apartment. What was that? Naruto said, jolting awake before getting out of his bed, tossing back the covers as he walked into the bathroom, ignoring the reflection before pausing and created a shadow clone. "Could you make a carrot cake? I don't know why, but I have a strong craving for one, and cinnamon rolls, dango and cake," he said to the clone, who raised an eyebrow. "What, no ramen?" it said, making Naruto freeze in his place, about to enter the bathroom. About to respond, he heard in his head, "Don't even think about it. While it is good, but eating it every day is unhealthy. Use what little fresh produce you have left after for a healthy breakfast." Shaking his head, he said, "Actually, after you make those treats, could you make some toast, scrambled eggs and sausage with some fruit?" The clone raised an eyebrow before shrugging and went into the bathroom before seeing his reflection alter to the shadowed figure as it looked at him without his shirt and pants, wearing just boxers, hearing him growl in annoyance, "That fucking toad cocksucker, he literally ruined us." Thinking to the voice in my head, Naruto responded, getting in the shower, "Wait, I thought you were a dream. What was that last night, and who are you if I'm Naruto?" The voice groaned, "The best response to answer that is wait till the exam and I'll answer your questions, but right now I'm tired. If you need help just call for me and I'll help." With that the voice faded while thought to himself, "Who is this toad cocksucker anyway, and why am I so angry?" Ignoring it, he got under the shower head after waiting a bit for it to get hot when he saw a few seals on his arms flicker before fading, making him raise an eyebrow. Walking out of the bathroom, he grabbed his clothes, feeling a strong disgust with the oversized orange jumpsuit to the point it made his stomach turn and that burning feeling in his chest rise before he saw a few scrolls written out with different names, making him turn to the clone, who shrugged. "Don't ask me, boss, I just work with what you know, and somehow you know Fuinjutsu pretty well, might I add. Anyways, you might want to scarf that down and get to the academy, the exams are about to start," he said, pointing to the wall showing it was 8:45 a.m., meaning he had only 15 minutes to eat. The clone vanished, making him hold his head before he finished off what fresh produce he owned and placed his headband around his forehead, grabbing his holster and pouch before running out of his house. Academy grounds. "About time you got here, Dobi," the village's resident golden boy and pompous-ass Sasuke Uchiha said in a monotone with an undertone of self-superiority due to his clan heritage, making Naruto roll his eyes. "Don't start, Uchiha and Sakura. If you so much as mention Sasuke's name and it not have anything useful attached to it, I will personally sew your mouth such with wire after I fill your throat with explosive notes. Now let's go. I have the biggest migraine at the moment and I rather not have it amplified listening to the ego-stroking banshee and the self-important brat," Naruto said, coldly brushing past them. The two stared at each other, noticing Naruto's eyes flicker from blue to purple, but thought it was just their imagination as they followed after him, not noticing the Tsunade team appear seeing the whole interaction. The blonde on the team thought, "Naruto-kun, I intend on getting my answers, you got me." Test hall. Seeing Sasuke limp up the stairs, Naruto couldn't help but relish in the fact he had suffered a bruised ego from the green-wearing shinobi, as he thought to himself, hey, maybe that will deflate his ego a bit. Him a true Uchiha is a serious laugh. Gaining a confused expression on his face, he thought, why did I think that? You're beginning to realize your true potential and your full skill is breaking free, the voice in his head said, making him groan. Great, now I'm going crazy with some voice in my head. Oddly enough, the fox hasn't spoken in a bit, going on about how I should bow to his greatness, he said to himself, so the others didn't hear. I told you not to, and yet you get hurt. If we end up in a fight and you hold us back, Uchiha, I'm not saving your ass. I hope you realize that, Naruto said, ignoring the glares he got before walking in, missing Kakashi, who appeared as he closed the door. Feeling the killer intent from the other genin in the room, Naruto heard in his head, let me show these upstarts real killer intent. From his body a thick air filled the room, making it hard for everyone to breathe save for Ino, who had a look of joy form on her face when she saw him, making him raise an eyebrow, while Hinata, as opposed to her reserved expression, she had a look of confidence with a cold indifference towards others, but Naruto, who had a love in her eyes as she gave him a grin before the two changed to their usual personalities, walking towards him. Hey Naruto-kun, you're nervous for the exams, and where's Sasuke and forehead? Ino said, making him raise an eyebrow, as her did teammates. Naruto-kun, what no doby or witty remark or belittling comment about how my parents killed themselves to get away from me like in the academy, or comparing me to my annoying teammate. Naruto said, making her shake her head in an offended way. I'd never do that, Naruto-kun, I mean we were friends and I want that again. I'd also like it if me and Hinata can hang out again like old times, she said, making him turn to Hinata, who blushed looking at him but remained calm, nodding, making him raise his eyebrow. Accept the offer, our mates are re-emerging, he heard in his head, making him nod, causing the two to get a happy expression. Awesome, we can hang out when we get a free moment during the exam, she said with a smile, making him nod. Give Hinata the cinnamon rolls and give Ino the slice of cake, he heard, making him comply, which the two accepted with glee, each with a kiss to the cheek. Seeing the two walk off, Choji and Shikamaru walked up to him as Shikamaru said, any idea what that was about? I mean, Sasuke came in and she didn't so much as give him a passing glance? Choji asked, following Shikamaru's question, and Hinata didn't become a stuttering mess or fidget. What's going on? Even you Naruto, you seem different like when you came in. And you usually give cheerful response, but the question to Ino seemed out of character for you? Naruto shrugged as he said, no idea, I had this crazy dream and since then I felt like some outsider in my own body. Think I should take this to Ino-chan's dad? I mean, he is a psychologist alongside a garden shop owner, isn't he? They nodded when some kid with silver hair came, saying, you guys mind keeping it down? You're attracting too much attention. Shikamaru asked, who are you? You may be a genin, but I haven't seen you before, let alone in the village before. He chuckled, saying, scratching the back of his head, I'm Kabuto Yakushi, and the reason you haven't noticed me is because I work on the hospital mostly as a medic ninja, but judging from the looks of you all, I'd say this is your first Chunin exam? He got nods from everyone when Ino asked, how many times have you been in this exam, Kabuto? Naruto could tell something was off with this guy when he said, today will be my 7th attempt. Everyone ignored Kiba's boisterous comment when Shikamaru countered, saying, then this is harder than anyone thought originally. Kabuto nodded, saying, that's right, in fact I assure many of the genin in this room will be eliminated before the 2nd exam. But besides that, I also have knowledge on everyone here. You give me a name, I can give you their stats with these. Pulling out a pack of orange cards with Kaji in the circle, Hinata said, cards? How are cards going to tell us anything? He chuckled, saying, these aren't just any normal cards, Hyuga-san, but more so ninja info cards. By putting chakra into the card, whatever is recorded into them will show a person or village's information. Anyone you want to know about? Before anyone could get information from the mysterious genin, a cloud of smoke exploded in the room, blocking everyone's view and even made a few cough when in the smoke they heard, alright maggots, shut up and listen. The smoke dispersed, showing a tall figure wearing a black leather trench coat with black pants and a shirt, with his headband acting as a bandana with scars on his face when he cleared his voice, saying, "Alright maggots, my name is Ibiki and I'm the one watching over you little shits for the first exam, and I expect you to get your seating number and sit down where you're assigned." Not wanting to piss off the overly imposing figure, everyone took their seats, with Naruto sitting next to Hinata and Ino a row away next to them on Naruto's right. When he explained the rules, Naruto griped in his head, "Why Kami do I have to do a written test? I'm horrible with test." He jolted when the voice echoed in his head, "Quit your complaining for Kami's sake. Just keep your eyes on your paper and write what I tell you for the questions. Now keep up." Looking at the paper, he heard the voice feed him the answers as Hinata kept sneaking peeks to the side, eyeing Naruto as she thought to herself, "In Naruto-kun is doing well despite test being his weak point." Her eyes hardened before forcing herself to focus on her own paper when a voice said, "Of course he is, after all he is and forever will be ours once we're together again, and once we do we'll make that toad pay for what he did to not just us, but Naruto-kun by turning him into that fake imitation, and Ino by turning her into that helpless fangirl." Multitasking, she asked, "Who was it that did this to me? To you? To us? And why?" The voice growled in her head, "The Toad Sage for some ridiculous reason, and sealed away the only person who raised Naruto-kun when he placed those seals on all of us and made Naruto the dead last he is who didn't even know who we were. When I get my hands on him I'm going to." Hinata had to cut her off from the dark thoughts, the other voice in her head that's been haunting her since that dream last night, much like Naruto had, except she saw herself with more confidence and a slight attitude to her. She jumped after a while when Ibiki slammed his hands on the blackboard, saying, "Alright brats, put your pencils down because here's the 10th question." As he continued to speak about how they had a chance to back out or not, Kabuto proved to be correct as the number of genin dropped to at least 26 teams, while the voices in Naruto and Hinata's heads told them to keep their hands down. Seeing nobody else raise their hands, Ibiki said, "Well, to those who had the guts to stick around, you pass." A random kunoichi shouted, "Wait, what the fuck? What happened to the 10th question?" He chuckled, saying while looking in her direction, "There never was a 10th question. Well, in a sense the 10th question was part of the test to see if you were willing to go in half-cocked without knowing the whole situation." Removing his headband, he showed everyone his scarred head, making a lot of people gasp at the sight as he continued when the voice in Naruto's head spoke up, "Look on and embed this image into your retinas. This is the side effect of torture and interrogation." Seeing a growing shadow form in a window near the first exam, proctor exploded when the shadow exploded, revealing a woman with purple hair in a pineapple hairstyle, wearing a fishnet bodysuit with a short tan skirt and an open-being trench coat. On the tarp behind her that blocked Ibiki's sight read, "The White Kunoichi Anko Mitarashi." The voice in his and Hinata's head as they both thought, "Of course Anko-chan's the same, nothing changes with Habiheim." Ibiki, who was annoyed that the suspense he built faded, said, peeking his head from the side with a twitching eyebrow, "Anko, you're early." She gave an embarrassed chuckle as she said before noticing the amount of genin left, "Hehehe, well you see Genma, I can explain that." "Wait, what the hell Genma, there's 26 genin left, you're losing your touch there." He gave a grin saying, "Or maybe we have a stronger crop than the previous times." She gave off a snort before saying, "Oh well, it doesn't matter since my exam will cut them down by more than half." The bloodthirsty grin she gave off unsettled many of the genin present when she said, "Alright brats, meet me at training ground 44 and be on time, because if you're a second late your team is disqualified." Disappearing in a Shunshin, Naruto, Hinata and Ino didn't need to be told twice by how serious she was as the three jumped out the window she crashed in from before. The others followed after them not soon after. Training ground 44. Naruto had to think that this was just some bad horror movie with the oddly placed signs saying, "Danger," and "Enter at own risk," posted on the fence that surrounded the forest, but it did no justice in easing their nerves despite the voices in their head telling them this was just another forest. Seeing the Kusa ninja with the grass hat on her head, Naruto heard the voice in his head making him groan, ignoring Anko, "Oh come on, I thought you said you were going to sleep?" His migraine worsened as the voice said, "Well, excuse the fuck out of me for helping you stay alive and make it this far. Now just listen for Kami's sake, that woman is dangerous, avoid her, and if your team fights her, let them, it's their lives they're throwing away." He wanted to retort when he felt something sharp nick his cheek with two large and soft globes press into his back and the back of his head when he heard, "Aw, it's little cuties like yourself that end up dying so soon." Feeling her tongue lash at the stream of blood flowing from his cheek, the voice in his head said with a purr, "Sweet Kami, I forgot how she could drive me crazy. Naruto, say this to her." Turning his head, he said with a purr with his royal purple eyes, "Oh Habiheim, I'd much more prefer it if we did something else that would be even sweeter." Anko had to suppress a shiver, especially when she felt him rub her inner thigh, when she felt him put something in her pocket, when the two turned to a person that sneaked up behind them with kunai drawn to see her holding the kunai with her tongue. "Sorry, I guess I kinda got overly excited," she said as Anko took her kunai back with a grin. "You might want to be careful, if this had been any other time you would be dead right now," Anko said, that unsettled more of the genin than they already were. "Anyways brats, I need you all to sign some documents to say we are not liable for any injuries or deaths that happen during the 5 days you're in the forest. Once those are signed, you and your team are to get your scroll by the hut once you turn in your pamphlet and collect your scroll, which as I showed earlier is either an earth or a heaven scroll. You have 5 days to get the scroll you need from an opposing team and head to the tower in the center," she said, showing the pamphlet while she showed another scroll after looking around for a moment, seeing Naruto and the woman with the long tongue stare at her. "Oh, and just a small disclaimer, I suggest you don't open your scroll or scrolls until you reach the tower, but what the hell, what you do is your call, not mine," she said as the group of 26 teams filled out the papers, as Team 7 was given a heaven scroll which Sasuke chose to carry, not that Naruto cared. "Naruto Baka, why were you talking to Ino Pig, the Wallflower and the Bimbo?" Sakura screeched, making Naruto flinch from the volume of her voice, making him growl. "Because they're better company than you. The one-eyed Cyclops and the emo bitch who complains about not being powerful enough when practically every damn ninja in the village is bending over backwards to teach him since we were in the fucking academy," Naruto said with a growl, bursting the same killer intent he did in the first exam hall, making her and Sasuke flinch from the glare and the harsh words. "Now we're going to be stuck in a forest for 5 days while we're hunting for scrolls, so I'd appreciate it if you kept your damn mouth shut. And Uchiha, try to keep your ego bound and gagged. I don't want your smart mouth making things harder than they already are, like you did by exposing the genjutsu before the first exam, adding to the damn numbers of possible opponents. And before you make a comment, I've been known. Why do you think I tried to hurry past?" Naruto said with a huff, leaning against the fence, closing his eyes. "What the hell got into the dobi?" Sasuke asked, confused as to what got into Naruto to act the way he has. "I don't care so long as he doesn't get in our way, Sasuke-kun," she said, only to get blasted by killer intent, coming eye to eye with a cold royal purple eye. "I thought I told you to keep your mouth shut unless you had anything of value to talk about. Sakura, do you really want me to sew your mouth shut? Or do you want me to remove your vocal cords instead, like one of those annoying dogs that bark too much?" Naruto said with a glare, making her shake her head in a negative, making him snort before focusing on Anko. "Alright kiddies, the second exam is about to start. And just a word to those who heeded my warning," she started as the lights counted from red to green. "Try not to die," she commanded, but it was more of a promise to Naruto, seeing his team dash into the forest. "Don't go dying on me, Foxy, you better not," she thought to herself before getting comfortable on a tree branch with her reaching into her pocket, pulling out a scroll that she unsealed, showing Dango, making her smile before patting herself down. "Oh, that crafty, why bastard," she said with a grin before biting into her Dango with moan of satisfaction at the taste. "He always knew how to make some damn good tasting treats," she said, biting into another stick with vigor while listening to the screams from the ninja in the forest. "These are the finer moments in life," she thought, tossing the stick at the tree, making it stick. "With Team 7, we already got both scrolls. Why the hell are you choosing to find more trouble?" Naruto asked, standing on a branch staring at Sasuke and Sakura, who were against his idea of moving to the tower. "Because Naruto Baka, if we beat more ninja the more teams are out," Sakura said, getting a groan from Naruto. "Okay, and let me make an observation to your comment. We're in a forest full of ninja who've been in these exams more times than anything. Do you honestly expect them to not be strong enough to handle themselves, especially against 3 genin who just formed the team some months ago, with one Uchiha who gets the bulk of training, a fangirl who's content on being a meat shield, and the dead last who actually asks for help but gets brushed aside with a good-for-nothing sensei at that?" "Oh yes, we've got this in the bag," Naruto said with eye roll as the two in front of him just ignored him and continued when a huge burst of wind pushed through the forest, catching Naruto. Using his chakra, he used it to grip a tree a little ways away from his team when the voice said, That was a futon jutsu, a B-class jutsu at that. Reaching his team, he made it in time to see Sasuke toss both scrolls they collected to Orochimaru as opposed to the ones Naruto lifted from Anko. "Sasuke, what the fuck are you doing?" Naruto said, taking the scrolls out of Sasuke's hand, making the three present turn their focus on him. "Dobi, what are you doing? Hand over the scrolls and we can live," Sasuke said, making Naruto roll his eyes. "Wow, really, Sasuke? First off, don't you sense the energy coming off this person? This is no damn Genin, and I know for fucking certain that she, or might I say he, might not hold his part of the deal and just kill us anyway after he takes the scrolls," Naruto said, turning to the person away from them, give off a hiss-like laugh. "Well, it seems someone made a mistake with the academy records for you to be the dead last. Tell me, boy, what ninja in history is known for using snakes alongside two others who used slugs and toads?" she said, giving off a deeper voice than before. "First off, don't bring up toads around me because I'm fucking pissed with the things and just might kill them. Second, you're talking about the three Sannin, and in the order you mentioned Orochimaru, Tsunade and Jiraiya, correct? So what is one of the Sannin doing here in the Chunin exams?" Naruto asked, getting a chuckle from the woman, as she gripped her face, pulling the skin off, showing a pale complexion with purple pigmentation around the bright yellow eyes. "Now I know something is wrong for a dead last to know so much about me and my former teammates," he said, making Naruto get closer to his team. "Well, when I was a kid, Gigi told me about the team he trained. To be honest, you and Tsunade are the two I respect the most. Despite your questionable actions and experiments, your skills are to be admired. You, Tsunade, Gigi and the other three Hokage are what drove me to be a ninja. If only my sensei wasn't too busy stroking the Uchiha's ego like the rest of the village, I'd actually be somewhere right now with more than just the ability to summon an army of clones," Naruto said, getting close to Sasuke and Sakura. "Oh, I can see the potential you have. Shame your eyes say you have more power than even you're aware of. Yes, I just might take both of you," he said, putting Naruto on edge. Sasuke, "Sakura, just for the sake of not being assholes for once, if we want to survive this we have to work together, so here's the plan," Naruto whispered to them as the snake summoner bit his thumb while sliding the bloodied appendage across his arm that held a black ink tattoo. A puff of smoke caught their attention when it cleared, showing a large brown snake with black marking on its underbelly, making Naruto get into a defensive position with a kunai in hand when Orochimaru said, My, it seems your team left you for dead, Naruto-kun." Alarmed, he turned to the side to see Sasuke and Sakura had left, making him growl, "Fan-fucking-tastic. If I survive this, I'm killing them, council be damned." Wincing from the migraine, the voice said, "Be on guard, I'll feed you knowledge on jutsu and such, consider them instinctual. Look out." Looking up, he saw the snake launch itself at him, making him jump over its head before following the instincts in his head as he laced the kunai with chakra, making the one in his left hand spark with white electricity and the one in his right was flowing with wind before pushing himself off the tree, slicing the serpent with the blades, making it hiss out before disappearing. The S-rank criminal could see the unfocused haze in the boy's eyes as he grinned, thinking, "It seems I was right about having his potential restrained and a possible backup plan for a vessel." Launching himself at Naruto, he threw a right punch across Naruto's face, which he ducked under before focusing his chakra into his fist and landed a blow to Orochimaru's gut, making him grunt before he was thrown back, pushing him through a tree. "Oh yes, a lot of potential in this one," Orochimaru thought, pulling himself from the Orochimaru-shaped tree hollow that he made from Naruto's punch while wiping the blood that spilled from the side of his mouth. With Sasuke and Sakura, "Sasuke-kun, do you think it was a good idea to leave Naruto alone with that guy?" Sakura asked, getting a huff from Sasuke. "Like I care about the Dobi, he was holding the team back and Kakashi didn't want him on the team in the first place. If he dies, then it's his problem. After all, he was a nobody with nobody to care for him. This forest is his grave," Sasuke said, not looking at Sakura as they tried to make it as far away from the fight as possible. "Oh Sasuke-kun, that's rather cold of you to say," they heard, making the two stop to see Orochimaru walk from behind the tree next to them. "I mean, I practiced inhumane experiments on people with a smile on my face, but not even I would go against the Leaf Shinobi creed. Those who abandon a mission is trash, but those who abandon a comrade is lower. One would think a Uchiha elite would stand by his comrades, but I must say for the dead last he's holding himself pretty well against the real me. Now let's see how well you handle yourself against me," he said with a grin before launching himself towards the unprepared genin. Back to the fight. Orochimaru had to give Naruto credit where it was due even though he knew Naruto had no idea how to perform the several high-power jutsu he was using or the well-timed counter-attacks. He chalked it up to him being the rare type of ninja who performed without knowing anything. Or he was just the type who acted under pressure and performed on the fly if the moments of hesitation were anything to say, as the two stood across from each other panting, with Naruto having several serious bruises and cuts while Orochimaru was winded at best. I must say you've proven that the people here are rather biased of you for you to last longer than your teammates when I sent a clone after them when they ran. But I have business to attend to, so I'll leave you with a parting gift, he said when the Orochimaru in front of him dissolved into mud, making Naruto turn at the last second to see Orochimaru with elongated fangs sink into his collarbone before he felt a strong pressure hit him in the gut, making him fly back through the forest. Hope you enjoy your gift, Orochimaru thought before fading into the forest. With Naruto. Hey, get your head out of your ass, you're falling to your death in the forest after that snake bastard but a Gogyo Fuin and a Juin seal on you. Naruto heard clearly in his head, making him open his eyes as he caught onto a tree branch, looking around feeling a sense of déjà vu here. Wait, how come your voice doesn't sound weird anymore? And what's a Juin seal? He asked, getting a sigh. A Juin seal is a curse seal, one of the things Gigi told you about as a kid, remember? Hubbyheim has one from Orochimaru, but after he placed that Gogyo Fuin on you I could remove the taint that powers the seal, giving you its advantages, and the Gogyo Fuin made it easier to talk to you. Granted, it was an exhausting process, but now you don't have to worry, he heard, making him sigh in relief. Hey, go into that cave. Naruto heard, making him raise an eyebrow mentally. Why, it's just some dank cave. As much as I hate to say it, but I gotta get to my team before Sasuke's big mouth gets him and Sakura killed, he responded. Forget the damn morons and go in the Kami-forsaken cave. The voice demanded, making him wince from the increase in volume. Alright already, just lower your voice, it's almost worse than Sakura's, Naruto said, rubbing his head in annoyance. Fucking voice in my head won't even give me a straight answer, Naruto said to himself. I can hear you, ya no? The voice said, getting a growl from Naruto. It was intentional, I mean, since last night you've been in my head and you don't tell me a damn thing like that dream. Or why we have the same damn name, or who that woman was, or why the hell I've been on a short damn fuse. Naruto responded, getting silence. All will be explained within the contents in the cave, but first focus. Do you feel that energy flowing through the cave? The voice said in exasperation as Naruto looked around the cave for a moment, feeling a serene feeling to the area. Now that you mention it, yeah, I do, it's nice and calming actually, Naruto responded, getting a grunt. Head into the cave and follow the flow of the energy, and you might want to have that carrot cake on hand when you reach the source, it said, making him raise an eyebrow before shrugging. Deep into the cave. 3 floors. There were 3 floors in this Kami-forsaken cave, and now we have a huge-ass stone wall blocking where the source is. Naruto ranted in his head after running through the cave. Quit your complaining, just do what I tell you and you'll have your answers, the voice said, making him stick out his hand before a swirling black ball with a gray core formed as chakra wiped around from the sphere. Staring at the wall, he stepped back a bit before charging Rasengan. As the spiraling sphere collided with the wall, it continued to grind into the wall before it exploded into rubble from the force, showing a hollow point with a woman wearing a complex robe that twisted around her elegant form that was purple with red triangles at the end with gold bands segmenting the purple and red. She had a pale complexion with soft lips and long white hair that reached her ankles, with 2 bone-like protrusions coming from her forehead that oddly enough resembled rabbit ears to him, which he found to be fitting for her. Is she the source of that chakra? Naruto asked, getting a hesitant positive from the voice in his mind. If you look at her forehead you'll notice a seal, just bite your thumb and smear your blood on the seal, it should break, the voice instructed, getting a nod as he bit down on his thumb and rubbed his bloody finger across her forehead before a shattering sound could be heard, followed by a groan. Stepping back as she abruptly sat up, saying, "You foolish toad sage, you mustn't tamper with Kami's prophecy." Seeing her look around before her eyes landed on him, Naruto couldn't help but be drawn in by her eyes, which were a light red without pupils and deep purple pigmentation around her eyes, making them more all the alluring. He looks like Minato when we were kids, but Minato was only with Kushina, she thought before saying, "Boy, who are you? How old are you, and are you the one who removed that seal the toad sage placed on me?" He stared at her, trying to talk to the voice in his head. "Hey, who the hell is she? Hello?" Getting no response, he said, "I am Naruto Uzumaki, I'm 13 years old and yes, I was the one who removed the seal." Her eyes widened looking at him before her stomach growled, making the two sweat drop as Naruto pulled out a scroll saying, You hungry?" She nodded, grabbing the scroll while seeing the soft smile on his face when she unsealed the contents, revealing her favorite carrot cake. Giving her a kunai, she took it, cutting a slice before eating it as she said, "Thank you. Tell me, Naruto-kun, do you know who your parents are or anyone important to you?" He got a sad look on his face before it grew dark as he said, "I never knew my parents and I never really had anyone close to me save for Sandame Gigi, the Ichiraku family and Iruka-sensei, although he never really taught me anything in the academy or fixed my flaws." She scowled lightly, thinking, that damn sage truly did block more than just his skills and abilities, but to block his memories alter his personality. Sensing the seals on him, she thought to herself, it's safe to say that perverted Toad hasn't performed annual maintenance on those seals, but the one on his stomach and his collarbone are recent. Standing up from her sitting position, she said while walking towards him without even a wasted amount of movement as she sauntered towards him, rubbing his cheek with her hand. The contact felt comforting, familiar and warm as he felt his eyes close slowly when he heard her say, "Just rest, all will be clear later." As he fell over, she caught him in her arms with a small smile as she sat down against the altar she was resting on with Naruto's head in her lap, slowly removing every seal that was placed on him. Mindscape. Back in his mind, that was once just a sea of darkness was now a forest overlooking a large lake with a waterfall, while both sides were separated by a light and darkness, with a moon on the dark side and a sun on the light, with the sky being that of an evening sunset between both. "Whoa, what is this place?" Naruto said when he heard footsteps behind him, making him draw a kunai. "This is your, or should I say our mindscape," the shadowed outline in the forest said, standing next to a tree on the dark side with Naruto standing on the light. "What do you mean our mindscape, and why did you go silent after that woman woke up?" Naruto asked, getting a sigh from the person in front of him, standing slightly taller than Sasuke. "One would think you could put the pieces together, but I assume that's because our mind is more screwed up than I originally thought because of the Toad Sage. But I guess I'll have to point this out to you," the voice said, walking from the shadows until he was face to face with Naruto. Standing in front of the blonde was a boy with long waist-length spiky red and black hair with two white extensions pointing up, giving the resemblance of horns, with his bangs reaching his shoulders, while one on the left side of his head came over his eye partially that had two red dots over both eyes. He wore black hakama with embu-styled sandals and a purple sleeveless kimono top with a white rope tied around his waist and 5 shadowed tails wishing around, while the other 5 were red with black streaks with matching red fox ears on top of his head, with 3 thick blocky rectangles where Naruto's whisker marks rested. "Who are you and why do you say our mindscape?" Naruto asked, getting a groan with an eye roll following soon after. "It would be easier to explain everything if we relax," the other Naruto said as the blonde followed as the two now sat at the edge of the lake. "If you're still worried about our teammates, and I can't help but wonder why when they wasted no time running, then don't. In our mindscape, time moves much slower. What seems like days or hours is actually a few minutes at the most," he said with an eye roll at the thought about their team. "Now it's best if you save any and all comments and questions for after I say everything that I have to, got it?" he said, getting a nod making him sigh. "Tsukihime, my pet name for Kagaya-chan, is the mother of the Sage of 6 Paths, and before you speak, she fused with the Jubi and was sealed into the moon by her 2 children. What happened to her second son nobody knows," the darker-haired Naruto said, cutting off the blonde before he could speak. "Now to speed things up, as to why we were sealed is because Kami can see all events that transpired after that point, and she saw that the Child of Prophecy would either save or destroy the Shinobi way of life. The same prophecy that was passed down to the Biju and every summoning animal. This was Kami's prophecy," he started his explanation. "When Kami-sama foretold this, the Toads told our former godfather Jiraiya, their summoner, about the prophecy and believed it was Minato, only for him to die saving the village from Kurama. I suppose he could be considered our older brother in a sense." The darker Naruto paused, seeing the blonde raise his hand. "Yes?" he responded, just wanting to get this over with. "Think you can give me the short and stiff version of it?" he asked, getting another eye roll from the redhead. "Fine. Our father is Minato Namikaze Senju, the son of Tobarama Senju, and our mother is Kushina Uzumaki Uchiha, the daughter of Madara Uchiha, connecting us to all 3 of the great clans in the elemental nations." The toads foretold that a child of two great warriors bearing a heavy burden would either save the elemental nations or change their way of life. Naruto started taking a deep breath. Now Kaguya-hime was removed from the Jubi and was asked by Kami and the other gods to help us and guide us as she has grown attached to us and love us. Kaguya asked to recreate the Jubi but with us as the soul, hence the tails and ears and the overly immense reserves. She was sent to elemental nations and became best friends with our parents while gathering the other tailed beasts or more so fragments to do this. The other Naruto said, looking to his left to see the blonde soaking this all in. Now Jiraiya, the perverted fucker, along with his toads, broke the rule of Kami's law: no manipulation of prophecies is to maintain order. He didn't like the fact we had people who cared about us and bonds, let alone stood for the abuse of the villagers you've gone through, as have either beaten many into the hospital or they died in there. He chose to make us a pariah, so he sealed Ino-hime, Hinata-hime's memories and alter their personalities while he sealed me away and created you while placing limiters and blockers on us in hopes of reconditioning us, he said, seeing the confusion in his other half's eyes. Seals that limit whatever they're designed for, those being intellect, reflex, chakra control, growth suppressors, anger blockers, and many other nasty deals where in all honesty I'm surprised you weren't a proverbial vegetable. But due to his neglect of maintenance those degraded and let me speak to you while I was forced to watch through your eyes. He explained, getting a nod of understanding making him nod back. Do you have any other questions that I might not have come across in my explanation? He asked, getting a nod. How do we fuse back? I can tell you aren't lying, and I feel like I've known I was incomplete in some way for some reason, and if there is one thing I hate is being used. He said with a growl, making the other grin as the two stood up. Well then brother, how about we show the elemental nations just who the hell they've been walking over? The blonde's other half said with a grin which he matched as they both grasped hands before the area was caught in a blinding light. In the cave. Naruto groaned but soon calmed down, feeling a familiar hand comb through his hair, making him open them, revealing royal purple eyes staring up at Kaguya, who had a soft loving smile on her face which made a small one come to him as well before he reached up, cupping her cheek with his hand. Missed you to Tsukihime, he said, making her eyes light up before she leaned down, connecting her lips to his with a long drawn out moan before pulling back. I've missed you too, Kitsune Koi, so much, Kaguya said, giving him one last kiss before pulling back, letting him stand as she did before handing him back the kunai his other self had lent her as he saw his reflection in the blade. He lost his tan, almost making him as pale as Orochimaru, with his hair being like it was in his mind, except there was a few changes. The horns that stuck up were a platinum blonde now with blonde ends at the end of his hair. Looking at his clothes he had to recoil in disgust, seeing the attire he was forced to wear, making him scowl. I may appreciate the color orange, but this much is just unhealthy. Oh well, shall we go, Hime? She nodded as they walked out of the cave before she transformed into a white fox that jumped into his jacket as he created an illusion over himself, making him look like he had to everyone else. Let's go, we have idiots to find, Naruto said as he jumped to a tree branch and rocketed through the forest. With the Konoha 12. The scene Naruto and Kaguya had arrived to be an interesting case, as the two could sense the negative and foul chakra from the cave. Before them Team 8, 10 and 9 all stood around the team from Otto, with one having his arms broken, it appeared, with the other unconscious while the other was visibly shaken to say the least. Sasuke was covered in markings from what appeared to be similar to the mark Naruto had on his collarbone, stalking towards the mummified Otto shinobi. Sakura was horribly battered and bruised with Maida Guy's Minimi unconscious. Sasuke, calm down, Naruto said, getting everyone's attention as he jumped from his perch, landing away from his team, and approached slowly. Naruto Baka, where the hell were you? Sakura shouted before he turned to her slowly and drowned the area in killer intent, shaking everyone present. I don't want to hear a word from trash like you and the bastard here. After the moment I appeared you decided to ditch me as I fought for my life against Orochimaru of the fucking Sannin. Be happy I'm here in the first place. If I didn't need either of you to proceed to the next exam, I'd leave you both here in the forest to die by whatever gets you and be done with the two of you, Naruto said without emotion in his voice that shocked many of the genin, especially with his precious Sakura. Turning to the Otto shinobi he said, I suggest you leave your scroll and go before I change my mind. I'm running awfully low on kindness at the moment, so I'd take it if I were you, Naruto said, making him nod, tossing Naruto an earth scroll which he caught deftly as he made a mental check as he swiped one set of scrolls. Then the collection they got before fighting Orochimaru and the new Earth Scroll, they had 5 scrolls total. Dobi, why did you let my prey get away? Oh well, I can always test my new strength on you, he said, turning to Naruto, making him sigh. Uchiha, do us a favor and shut your trap before you choke on your overly inflated ego. Or maybe you'd be doing everyone a favor and drop dead from said asphyxiation him. So many pros and cons, Naruto said to himself, ignoring the growling sound that came from Sasuke. You watch yourself, Dobi, before I teach you how to speak to your betters. He barked, making Naruto regard him with zero interest. Well, when you find someone who's my better, I'd be more than happy to take your proposal into consideration, but for now I'll pass, Naruto said, walking over to Lee, kneeling in front of him, checking him over. That's it, Dobi, Sasuke roared, charging at Naruto, making the genin sigh in irritation before standing again while turning to Sasuke in time for him be right in front of Naruto with his fist extended. Leaning back and to the right, he let Sasuke pass by him before he gripped the outstretched wrist before pulling back, causing the Uchiha heir to go off balance before heaving as he felt Naruto's knee embed itself into his stomach before feeling a strong impact to his stomach from his outstretched foot. Collapsing to the ground, Naruto sighed before turning to Lee's team, saying, he's going to be fine, just some exhaustion and internal damage from whatever those auto genin did to him. Let him rest and he should be fine. The two nodded as Neji picked up Lee and left into the forest before Naruto turned to the others as Sakura stalked towards him with her fist raised, shouting, Naruto Baka, how dare you do that to Sasuke-kun? Turning to her, causing her to go rigid from the cold glare Naruto gave her, he said, firstly, Haruno, he started it. Second, do keep your mouth shut before you attract more unnecessary trouble. Naruto turned to the other genin and said, so what scrolls do you guys need? The other genin stared at him with raised eyebrows before he nodded and pulled out from his front pockets the set he swiped from Anko, the set they got in the forest, and the recently acquired Earth Scroll. How did you get a? Sakura started before she saw his eyes narrow, making her gulp. I mean, how do you have 2 sets of scrolls when we only fought one team and Orochimaru? She asked, getting an eye roll from Naruto. If you had your head out of the Uchiha's ass like the rest of the village and didn't cut me off when I tried to tell you when the exam started, I would have said that when Enko-sensei tossed her kunai and got behind me I swiped her 2 scrolls. Naruto explained as he sighed before turning back to the genin. So what scrolls do you need? He asked again as he presented the scrolls to the other genin, which they each took 1 scroll, leaving his team with the 2 necessary to advance. We better get to the tower, I'd rather not run into that snake bastard again while we're here, Naruto said, walking away as Ino and Hinata chased after him. Naruto, aren't you going to get Sasuke-kun? Sakura asked, getting silence for a while as he stopped walking. He's your love interest, wouldn't he happy to know you care enough to carry him to the tower? Naruto said, making the pinkette get hearts in her eyes as she grabbed Sasuke in a rare display of strength and carried him on her back before running after them, with the others staring at each other before running after them. Forest Tower. Well, we're here, but how do we get in? Choji asked as Naruto stepped forward to check out the wall that was engraved with a mural. We have to open the scrolls, he said, making everyone turn to him with confusion. Dobi, didn't you hear what were to happen if we opened the scrolls? I mean, I know you're stupid, but I didn't think you were ever this stupid, Kiba said, getting a Byakugan-enhanced glare from Hinata, making him shrink back. Don't be stupid, Inuzuka, think about what Anko said. If we were to open the scrolls before we got to the tower, something bad would happen. We're at the tower and yet we can't find a way in. It has something to do with that, Naruto explained slowly as if he was explaining to a kid. He may have a point, it makes the most sense, and it could explain why we haven't run into any other genin after entering the forest, even if it's only been 1 day. That may be proof of them opening their scrolls beforehand, Shikamaru said, getting a nod from Naruto. It's true, when I ran to find those 2 I came across several teams that were unconscious with their scrolls open. That's what leads me to believe that this is the proper time to open them, Naruto said as he grabbed both scroll as the others did the same. On 3, open your scrolls, he instructed, getting a nod from the others. 3, 2, 1, now? He said as they unraveled as Naruto noticed a seal matrix. Toss them quick, he said quickly when the scrolls opened, causing the area to be covered in smoke. When it cleared, the other team's Chunin were present save for Seven's, who in Kakashi's stead was Iruka. Wow, you all made it in incredible time considering it's only been a day. In fact, you're all the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th teams to make it here, with the Suna team making it here first, breaking the last record. Iruka said, getting a bored expression from Naruto. "Where's Kakashi?" Naruto asked with his bored expression still in place, attracting attention which set of red flags about the blonde genin. "He had something to do and said he'd see you later," Iruka said, making Naruto roll his eyes. Of course the useless sensei can't tear himself away from his smut to even see as fucking pathetic, Naruto said with disdain, making the other Chunin and instructor look at him with shock. "Naruto, that's no way to speak about your sensei," Iruka reprimanded. "Iruka-sensei, I'm just going to say this. The man isn't deserving of his Chunin title or even that of a sensei. Since the formation of Team 7 he's had us do nothing but teamwork building exercises and spars, nothing else, and tree walking when he was injured during a C-turned-a-rank mission. When he thinks nobody is aware he takes Sasuke away for additional training, yet when I try asking him he says he has to focus on the Uchiha," Naruto explained, getting wide eyes from the older and younger ninja. "Hell, the fact that he entered us in this exam means he either wanted me or Sakura dead to focus solely on the damn brat, or he's more disillusioned than I imagined. Hell, we ran into Orochimaru and these two actually abandoned me to fight on my own, where I was lucky to survive spamming shadow clones." Naruto finished, causing the older ninja to turn to Sakura, who withered at the glare the gathered ninja shot her. "One of the few things you and the old man taught me that I remember was to give respect to those who deserve it and respect women," he said, getting a nod from the Chunin. Seeing this, Naruto said, "Well, give Hitaki this message. He wants respect. Tell him to choke on my cock while he's doing the same for the Uchiha." Walking past them, ignoring the jaw-dropped expressions of the ninja behind him, he turned around for a brief moment, saying, "Oh, but do it slowly. He tends to be rather slow on the uptake." Making his way through the entrance guy opened, he walked before he said, "Also, where will we be staying for the remainder of the second exam?" Iruka shook his head, saying, "Through the 5-day period of the exam for the genin who make it to the tower, they have a lodging here in the tower to rest and recuperate to rest. There is also a training ground, a mess hall, and an onsen for boys, girls, or both if you're comfortable with each other." He nodded before walking off into the tower with the other genin following after him. As Iruka turned to the Chunin, "Is it me, or is Naruto acting outside his usual personality?" Guy shook his head, saying, "I don't know, but the knowledge of Kakashi being so unyouthful in training his team and his actions has greatly upset me." Kurenai nodded her head. "I agree with Guy. Kakashi went around bragging about how his team was powerful, yet from what Naruto told us, Kakashi hasn't taught them anything of use besides the tree climbing exercise. It makes you wonder if Kakashi was talking about his team or just the Uchiha brat," Asuma said, taking a drag of his cigarette. "Think we should inform the Hokage? I mean, the acts Sakura and Sasuke performed in and of themselves are worthy of at least suspension, and let's not forget Orochimaru's here in the forest at that," the Chunin explained, getting a nod from the others as they vanished in a swirl of leaves or smoke. 4 days later, the first round of the Chunin exam preliminaries will now commence. All eyes turned to the board. Hayate Giko said after the Hokage gave his speech to the gathered genin, noticing Naruto, Ino and Hinata were all close together and each had a change in personality opposite to their known actions. Another thing Hiruzen and many others noticed was Naruto seemed to constantly keep his eyes closed with a large false smile on his face, which unsettled many in the area seeing that expression. Looking up to the board, it reeled, it light up, showing Sasuke Uchiha versus Akado Yoroi. The fight was mediocre at the best, as he used the technique he copied from Lee to beat him after the curse seal Sasuke received started causing problems. The second round to have transpired was Shino Aburame and Zaku Abumi, who had his arm in a sling after what Sasuke did in the forest, until he showed he was capable of using it, albeit with some difficulty. Shino won because he clogged the tubes in Zaku's arms with his clan's bugs, so when Zaku tried to go for the winning blow, his arms exploded. The third match was Choji Akamichi, and he fought Dosu Kinuta and lost due to those chakra bracers on his arms causing the water in Choji's body to vibrate, knocking him out. Round 4 was Subaku no Tamari and Tenten Higurashi, with Tenten losing due to her not having an expanded repertoire to fall back on to beat the Wind Mistress, as she was met with her back meeting the fan. Round 5 was Kin Suchi and Shikamaru Nara, and to Naruto this was a given since the Nara was a legitimate genius who beat her by pushing her in a corner and used his shadow possession jutsu to make her bang her head into the wall behind her. Round 6 was Subaku no Kankuro and Masumi Tsurugi, with Kankuro being the winner as he used his puppet as a decoy to bind his opponent and breaking his bones with an excellent display of puppetry. The 7th round and the most adrenaline pumping was between Rock Lee and Subaku no Gaara, and despite Lee's best efforts he couldn't win against Gaara and his sand manipulation as he slammed him into the ground and walls several times. The 8th match of the preliminary round will now commence between Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka. Hayate exclaimed as Ino ignored the shrill yell of Sakura as she ran down, while Ino calmly walked down the stairs before she stood in front of the pinkhead. "Are you ready? Once we fuse back we're stuck together as one mind and body." A voice in Ino's head getting a mental nod from the platinum blonde. "Yes, our lives were ruined because of that toad bastard and I want to help Naruto put him in his place," Ino said with conviction as she got a chuckle in response. "Very well, let's show them what happens when you fuck with Ino Yamanaka," the voice said as there was silence before the blonde's eyes flashed quickly. "Hajime," Hayate said, getting out of the way as Sakura held a confident smirk on her face while Ino's expression was cold and calculating. "Just you watch, Ino pig, when I win I'll show Sasuke-kun that I'm better than you," Sakura said, getting an uninterested tisk from the blonde as she sighed. "Sakura, to be honest, I hold no interest in the Uchiha, I never did. The fact that I was manipulated into thinking I cared for the smug jackass is laughable as is, but to think I'd compete for someone who'd abandon his own teammate after saving his ass is just downright sad," Ino said, pulling out a kunai. "And because of your senseless crush you've let yourself grow weak, which I'll show you now that the accursed seal the toad put on me has faded," Ino said, making several Chunin raise an eyebrow as she tossed the kunai. "Kunai Cage Bunshin no Jutsu, Kunai Shadow Clone Jutsu," Ino announced as the single kunai multiplied into 20, making the audience go wide-eyed at the jutsu used. Jumping out of the way, Sakura was about to make a remark when Ino's foot connected to the side of her head, making her spin from the momentum and the surprising force behind the blow. Letting Sakura get up, she charged forward while performing the Bunshin no Jutsu, Clone Jutsu, hoping that she'd distract Ino long enough to win, only for that hope to be crushed when Ino ran past her clones and hit her in the solar plexus, making her heave. "The fact you actually have pride in the lack of skill you posses is laughable, Sakura, but I guess that's why Kakashi picked you to be on his team as an ego-stroking fangirl and not a kunoichi. I remember you were gloating about being the second strongest on your team, and yet I've seen nothing that validates that, Sakura," Ino said, leaning to the right as Sakura's kunai missed her. "I mean, besides your memory, what shinobi art have you practiced in since you were put on Kakashi's team? I mean, he ignored Naruto-kun since the beginning, and yet in the forest he handled himself well enough to survive against a S-ranked missing ninja. And beat Sasuke after you went out of control from those markings on him," she said, catching another kunai and tossed it back, nicking her in the cheek. Up in the stands, whistling Anko said, "Wow, blonde had an attitude adjustment. I may just offer her a position in Anbu and I, with how she's literally tearing the brat down with words alone." Hiruzen nodded, thinking, "Iruka and the others came to me 4 days ago saying Naruto wasn't acting like himself, or more so how he pretended, and now Ino is talking about a toad sealing her as she, Naruto and Hinata have gone through a personality shift. And that flash in her and Hinata's eyes, if what I think is right, Jiraiya has a lot to answer for. But to be honest, Ino-chan does raise a good point. What do your genin no Kakashi? After all, not only did you beg me for this team but also practically demanded they participate. You're already on thin ice, as is for the report Iruka and the others gave me about your neglect and favoritism. But from your expression at every time Ino calls your training into question, I have no need to ask if it's true," Hiruzen said with a steely expression, making the Chunin gulp. "You will report to my office after the preliminaries and will be evaluated, with Inoichi performing a test to review your conduct." Pray Naruto was just blowing off steam from his team's desertion, an act that is punishable by suspension for genin and even worse for a shinobi of higher ranking. He advised, getting a nod from the Chunin. Arena floor. "Get up, Sakura, or forfeit. Either way you will lose," Ino said coldly, getting a negative, making her sigh as she vanished with Sakura's world going black. "Winner of the 8th round is Ino Yamanaka," Hayate announced, getting a nod from Ino as she walked up the stairs. "The 9th round will now commence between Hinata Hyuga and Neji Hyuga," Hayate said, seeing the real end on both names as both clan members came walking down the stairs. In the stands, Hinata, Kurenai said quietly, getting a pat on the arm from Ino. I wouldn't worry about her, she was just like me, sealed away by that toad summoner. All three of us, although Naruto was a more severe case after all, you and Anko were his guardians beforehand, Ino said, getting the attention of the various groups gathered. You mean? Kurenai started, getting a nod. Yeah, the wallflower is an altered personality made by the toad summoner, as was my fangirlish ways, including the way I dress for a 13-year-old when I had more sense than to wear bandages in place of underwear, Ino said with a dark undertone, intending on removing Jiraiya's testicles. Arena floor. I suggest you give up now, Hinata-sama, and save yourself more embarrassment than you've already gone through, Neji said in a condescending tone, getting a snort from Hinata, how activated her Byakugan, getting into the Hyuga-style taijutsu. I'd save your talk for a person who cares, cousin. If you have energy to talk, then save it for the fight, she said with a glare before turning to the sickly Chunin. Start the match, she said, getting a nod from him as he raised his hand in the air, looking between the two. Hajime, he announced before jumping to the railing, avoiding Hinata, who charged at Neji, who couldn't react on time, being hit with a palm thrust to the stomach before another to the chin, followed by a kick launching him back. Growling, he activated his Byakugan, charging at her as the two started a serious taijutsu battle, but every blow Neji tried to deal Hinata was avoided gracefully as she danced around her cousin with ease, countering each blow. Come now, cousin, I thought you were a prodigy in our clan. Or is our house just talking out of their ass? She said, making him see red as he charged her. Seeing this, she started spinning as she created a dome of chakra around her, Hakesho Kaden, 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven. In the stands. Since when did Hinata know the rotation? Kurenai asked Ino, who seemed to know the most out of all of them. She always knew it. When we were sealed, everything that made us who we were was locked as false personas were made. Me being a bitch, Hinata being a wallflower, those were 2 examples, as I for one despise fangirls with a passion, which is why I laid into Sakura so severely, Ino explained, watching Neji run right into the spinning dome of chakra before he was blasted back off the dome into the wall behind him. So he actually sealed not only you and Hinata, 2 clan heirs, but Naruto as well? Guy asked, getting a nod. What was he like unsealed anyway? I remember him as a kid kinda, but I was hardly in the village, Asuma asked. He was cold and unfeeling to people who he was indifferent towards. If you hurt people that mattered to him, he'd hunt you down like a demon possessed, and he was very compassionate and friendly to his friends, me and Hinata, including a few others, Ino explained, getting an understanding nod. He was also as strong as a cage before he was sealed. Which we're about to see now, they heard, turning to see Hinata, who won her match, as she directed their attention to Hayate. Waiting for everyone's attention, he said, the final round of the preliminaries will now commence between Naruto Uzumaki and Kiba Inuzuka. Yahoo, let's go Akamaru, let's show the Dobi just who's number 1 here. Kiba said, jumping off the stands and onto the floor, while Naruto was already down, waiting with the same expression as before. Arena floor. Kiba, just do everyone a favor and shut the hell up, God, you're obnoxious, Naruto said as his eyes were still closed while the mile-long smile on his face faded to a sour frown. What was that, Dobi? The Inuzuka heir demanded, getting a snort from the blonde in front of him. I mean, seriously, in the academy the only reason you weren't the dead last was because I couldn't perform a simple clone that had no actual use besides being that of a simple parlor trick to entertain kids. I mean, hell, your taijutsu is hardly above average even now, your ninjutsu is lacking, and your genjutsu usage and dispelling are as bad as mine or worse, and let's not even go into the academics, Naruto said, opening his eyes before looking at his clothes. To be truthful, I hold no care for the term genin of the year, prodigy, dead last, or any other title people made up to inflate a person's ego beyond its limits. In the real world, a prodigy goes rogue, i.e. Orochimaru and Itachi, and yet a dead last found it prudent to try and control me with seals, sealing me away, creating the loud mouth that had feelings for a useless bubblegum pink-haired banshee, and put limiters on me that I'm surprised didn't leave me a proverbial vegetable after all this time. He started raising his killer intent, causing everyone present to sweat. The fact that in the academy Iruka would always say he can't show favoritism is laughable. I mean, I could see everything in my own mind like a one-way screen. I was the dead last, wouldn't it be his job to assist a student in need? But then I remembered civilians run the academy, and the civilian that runs it is a member of the civilian council. It would be easy to make a Chunin who lost his parents that horrible night to do as they say with the right threat, like desecrating their graves. Naruto said as the room began to shake from the killer intent. You see Kiba, I'm a decent person. I'm normally calm no matter the situation. But the fact that I was forced with a sensei who's an utter hypocrite throwing around words he doesn't mean yet has the stones to enter 3 genin he hasn't seriously trained into a life-threatening exam is questionable. But I'm ranting now so I'll get to the chase here. The blonde said as the killer intent faded instantly making everything go quiet. Opening his eyes partially he said, I was forced to forget the people I love, my friends and all that matter to me. Every time I tried to take a shot I was denied my turn so I guess. The moment he said those words he exploded in a plume of smoke that dispelled showing the real Naruto in his place as he finished taking off his jacket and fishnet shirt saying, I'll just have to go outside the rules then. Hayate ni-san, can we get started? I want to put the pooch in his place and also I do expect you to get back on your medication I put you on, Naruto said getting a nod with a small smile on his face. Removing the smile he said, I would but I'm out of the medication you made. Nodding he said, then I'll get to making more for you also tell Nei-chan I said hi it's been a while since I saw her. The sickly Chunin nodded before he raised his hand in the air looking between the angry Inuzuka heir and the stoic fox like Uzumaki. Hajime, he said jumping to the stands for the last time while Naruto stretched. I'm giving you this one chance to give up Kiba I'd rather not embarrass you during this fight. Naruto said reaching into his kunai pouch and pulled out 2 as he charged them both with wind and lightning chakra creating 2 blades of their respective elements as he held them in a reverse grip. Hey, you may have changed your appearance with a Hanji but I am still the alpha here and you're just the clan-less nobody with a whore for a mother and a washout of a ninja for a father. Kiba said making Naruto close his eyes before his stance changed as he crouched slightly before opening them showing cold royal purple eyes with that same smile from before. In the stands, Ono, Ino, Hinata, Kurenai and Anko said together making Asuma stare at them with a raised eyebrow. Oh no what's happened? He asked confused as Anko sighed. Kur-chan you might want to request for a new genin for your team because the brat dug his grave with that remark, Anko said getting a nod from the red-eyed Chunin. Why what did he do? Asuma with Guy just as curious as his fellow Chunin. Kiba stepped on one of Naruto's nerves. He never knew his parents personally like other children have he was only told stories about them from me, Anko, Yugo, Hayate and Sandaime-sama. It's why he trained so hard to be as strong as them if not stronger. For Kiba to talk down about his parents is like calling an Akamichi fat or insulting Guy's flames of youth to their face, it's just something you don't do and with good reason, Anko said getting a nod from the others. I remember how he gained his first moniker as the Smiling Demon. He nearly killed several civilians and shinobi from genin to Chunin rank and put them in the hospital where they still remain from the mental torture and physical pain. There was also a small amount of ninja who killed themselves fearing the Smiling Demon is still after them, Kurenai said getting wide-eyed looks from the others listening. Wait you mean that event where all those ninja were forced to retire was because of him? Asuma asked getting a nod. He even can use genjutsu that would make the Kurama clan envious, Kurenai said with a bit of envy herself. I just wonder how I'm going to explain to Sume-sama about her son, Kurenai said in exasperation getting a chuckle from Anko. Arena floor. You know Inuzuka I was just going to beat you, but now, Naruto paused with his expression still without the slightest of change as he put away his kunai. But now what Dobi? Kiba sneered as he performed one of his clan's jutsu causing Akamaru to become a second clone of him as Naruto sighed. I thought that would be obvious Kiba, now I'm going to break you, Naruto said as he was now in between the two delivering a kick to both Kiba's heads launching them away from each other. Ga, Akamaru, Kiba said running to his partner only for Naruto to phase in front of him while another appeared next to Akamaru. Sorry Kiba but I know about your clan's skills and without being able to reach Akamaru your taijutsu which was already subpar is now abysmal since you focus mainly on techniques involving you and Akamaru, Naruto said delivering a punch to the stomach followed by a kick to the head making him fall to the ground. You know Kiba I always wondered if you'd be more humble after losing something precious to you, Naruto said as the room grew darker while Naruto's eyes were glowing brighter the more the room grew darker in contrast. Visibly shaken he stuttered, what are you going to do? His teeth grew sharper as his grin grew wider while he stepped back into the shadows when the eyes and teeth grew beyond mortal limits as Kiba heard, what am I going to do? Why, that should be rather obvious, don't you think? Yip. Hearing Akamaru, he whipped his head around to see a large clawed hand grab his now struggling partner as a large 10-tailed fox come from the shadows staring down at Kiba with a giant grin. "Leave Akamaru alone," he said, still frozen in fear at the giant fox towering over him. He, you should really watch who you make demands of, boy, it tends to bring about negative consequences," the large fox said as Akamaru was thrown in his mouth, making Kiba scream out for Akamaru. He, ha 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 ha. "What's the matter, boy, are you afraid for your little companion?" the fox said, getting a painful sob in return. "Well, to be honest, you should be more worried about yourself, as you will share his fate," he said as his clawed hand made a descent towards the immobilized Inuzuka. I give up, please just stop," Kiba yelled as his vision faded to white. "Winner of the preliminary round final is Naruto Uzumaki," was the last thing he heard. Reality in the stands. "Kid, you going to open your eyes, or do we have to carry you out on a gurney?" Kiba heard, making him open his eyes to see Hayate standing in front of him. What B, but nobody was here. Where's the Dobi? The battle isn't over," Kiba demanded as Hayate pointed to the stairs. "Get down here, Dobi, our fight isn't over," Kiba said, standing up as Naruto casted him a sidelong glance. "You've lost the fight, Kiba. I told you I'd break you, and I did, as you made the most fatal mistake a ninja can make when fighting a ninja whose skills you know nothing about," Naruto said, standing next to Ino and the others with a full-grown silver fox sat on his shoulder. "You got arrogant and careless. The moment you looked me in the eyes, I had you wrapped around my little finger, trapped in a genjutsu of my own weaving that affected everyone present, shame to say. But nonetheless I trapped you in a genjutsu that I made you see and feel what I wanted you to experience," Naruto said, seeing the Inuzuka clan heir still shaking slightly. "I intended to put the fear of Kami into you, but then I realized if I did so I would have to explain to Sume and Hana why their son and brother is in the mental ward at the hospital," Naruto finished as he leaned against the wall. But you were worse than I am in genjutsu, how?" he said, getting a snort, pointing towards Kurenai and Anko. "You don't just have two awesome kunoichi in the village as your surrogate sisters and not pick up a trick or two in their profession. As I said, Kiba, that Toad made a false persona that had no talent except monstrous reserves that were also limited from the seals placed on me. The old Naruto the village pushed around is no more," Naruto finished as he turned to Hiruzen and gave a nod. "Will all remaining genin please return to the arena floor for the final announcements," Hiruzen said as the winners of their fights go down the stairs and stood in front of the Hokage as well as the Chunin. "Now I would like to congratulate you all for a job well done in your match, and to say before the finals there will be a 2-month reprieve to come up with new skills and techniques to impress the council and other figures who will judge you," he said, getting wide eyes from some of the genin. "Will the person who wins the entire finals in 2 months be promoted?" Shikamaru asked, getting a shrug. "It is a likely possibility if you show skill necessary for promotion, but the fights will also show the gathering powers of your progress. Rest well, sleep and prepare for the finals. I'll see you all then," he said before leaving in a swirl of leaves, as did the other Chunin. Anko making eye contact with Naruto before tossing him something which he caught with a raised eyebrow as she just gave a grin before leaving, making him sigh. "Well guys, I'm going to go home and sleep, I'm tired," Naruto said with a wave as he and the others all said their goodbyes. Hokage's office. "You have a lot of explaining to do, Kakashi, and I expect nothing but the absolute truth, as you and my student Jiraiya have a lot to explain yourselves for," Hiruzen said, sitting behind his desk with a glare. "Well, to be honest, Sandame-sama, what Naruto said was all a lie. I did train my genin quite well, in fact." Kakashi started, getting a short glare from his leader. "Is that so, Kakashi? Are you absolutely sure? I have Inoichi coming in a few moments to confirm your story, so if you want to come clean I'll lessen your punishment, otherwise you're only making it harder on yourself," Hiruzen said, getting a negative from Kakashi, making him sigh. Hearing a knock on the door as he said, "Come in, Inoichi." The door opened, showing the Yamanaka clan head Inoichi Yamanaka walking into the office as he said, "You wanted to see me, Hokage-sama?" Nodding, he said, "Yes, due to some events my Chunin gave me with several genin in the preliminaries have shown not only just Kakashi but my student have causing quite a few problems. I would like for you to go in Kakashi's mind and review starting from the moment Team 7 formed to the present to reveal what exactly Kakashi has trained his team from independently to as a team. Leave nothing out. The clan head nodded as he forced Kakashi to his seat before performing several seals before the two slumped into the couch. Let's see just how far you've dug yourself, Kakashi, the Sandame thought, waiting before grabbing his pipe and lighting it. Again, Naruto-kun, thanks to those seals you've taken a considerable drop from your standard skill, so it would be best to train to get your skills back up to their standard, Kagaya said with Hinata, Ino and Anko standing nearby in a large mountainous range under a clear blue sky with a large ladder going into the sky. Yeah, it would be nice to be back at my standard. I just wish I had acted sooner and none of this would have happened, Naruto said, doing single-handed push-up on a stone spire with a large boulder on his feet, wearing a pair of shinobi pants without his illusion. It's not your fault, Naruto-kun, you didn't know this was going to happen, Hinata said, wearing the Hyuga clan attire of shinobi pants and a cream kimono top with lavender accents along the sleeves, collar that showed her cleavage of her D-cup breast, and the upper portion of the kimono. Yeah, it's not like you asked for any of this, Naruto-kun, it's the manipulative bastards in the village that are to blame, Ino said, wearing black stretch pants molding to her firm ass with a purple shirt that was cut above the breast to show her cleavage and her firm D-cup and fishnet shirt on underneath. Exactly, Ino-chan, the people who try to manipulate that which is outside their control are to blame, Naruto-kun, nothing more, and they will be dealt with when the time comes, Kagaya said, wearing her old shinobi attire of a royal purple kimono with an intricate inlay of lines and tomo decorated in red with shinobi pants on underneath. After a moment of silence, Naruto nodded, saying, I suppose you're right, doesn't mean I'm not going to rip those two ninjas apart when I get the chance. Nobody is stopping you, Foxy, Anko said, wearing her usual attire except with a pair of shinobi pants on instead of her short skirt. Hey, you see Hana, how is she? Naruto asked, coming down from his position with a towel around his neck. When I told her that you were back to your old self, she was as happy as a puppy. I swear if she had a tail it would be wagging, Anko said, seeing the slightly glazed look in Naruto's eyes as he had a grin on his face, as did the others. Oh, is Foxy imagining his Inuheim being submissive to him? She asked, getting a lick of the lips from Naruto before he shook his head. And if I am, she's a beautiful woman, Naruto said, getting a nod from the others. And so is her mom. I mean, the two are practically twins and Sume leaks MILF qualities, Foxy, Anko added subtly as Naruto nodded subconsciously before his eyes widened, shooting the snake mistress a glare. Ooh, Foxy has the hots for Hana-chan's mom, so scandalous. Just what would Hana think of you having a thing for her mom? Oh, maybe she'd be into it with the two having matching dog ears and tails, maybe a dog color, Ino said, getting a glare from Naruto with a twitch in his eye. I wouldn't mind so long as mom would be into it. Of course, she did say before Foxy got sealed away he was an absolute gentleman. His chances are high, they heard, making the three girls jump while Naruto grinned as he saw the Inuzuka heiress with long brown hair in a ponytail with it framing her face and large black eyes. She wears a light shade of lipstick while bearing the Inuzuka clan's standard fang tattoo on both her cheeks, while wearing a pair of tight shinobi pants and sleeveless shirt with a form-fitting vest with the front unsealed above her breast showing her cleavage. Hey Inuheim, how are you? Naruto asked, getting a bop on the head before he was brought into a kiss before she pulled back. The bop was for not coming to see me after you changed back, and the kiss is because I missed you. Also, I do like Anko's idea of me wearing a collar, the ears and tails. I'd prefer to have mine from being claimed by you, she said huskily, making his face turn red. Will you get me a collar, Naruto-sama? I'd make a wonderful pet, Hana said with a purr, making the blush on his cheeks to brighten while he nodded, making the others chuckle. As for mom, I believe she'd go for it after she heard how you beat Kiba and handled yourself against AS rank missing ninja. I know she's more than willing, you just have to give her a bit of time to really think it over, Hana said before her and the others' stomach growled, making Naruto chuckle. I think I could consider this my break and make some lunch. Want to stick around, Hana-chan? Naruto asked, getting an excited nod. Of course, I miss your cooking. I know the brothers do too, Hana said as the others climbed up the ladder before a loud explosion was heard in the distance, making Hana chuckle. High-level experimental jutsu? Hana asked, getting a nod from Naruto as she chuckled, seeing him scratch the back of his head with a chuckle. It would seem a bit of your false persona is still in there, Ino said, getting a chuckle from Naruto. What can I say, old habits die hard, in this case never die. After all, he was my other half, Naruto replied as the group climbed out of the training ground. Standing at attention after climbing the ladder, Naruto was tackled to the ground by three large dogs, making Naruto chuckle as he was licked relentlessly. Also, someone has been really looking forward to seeing you, so you might want to come over my house later, Hana said, making Naruto raise an eyebrow before nodding after her ninkin got off of him. So Foxy, what are you making? Hana asked, sitting at the large table with the others, getting a shrug as she saw him put on a black sleeveless kimono top before putting his hair in a ponytail. Don't know, something light, mostly don't want to stuff myself before I get back to training. As for going over your house, I'll be sure to stop by, Hana-chan, just so long as I don't see your brother. The comment he made was horribly unnecessary, and the only reason I didn't turn him into a bloody smear yesterday is because I didn't want you and Sume to hate me, Naruto explained, getting a nod, remembering what Anko and Kurenai told her and Sume after the fight. Oh, don't worry Foxy, honestly me and Mom are getting tired of his alpha dog shit. He needs a swift kick in the ass, otherwise Mom was contemplating having him exiled for his views, Hana said, making them stare at her in confusion. What views are so bad that your mom would want to exile him from the clan? Hinata asked, confused about what her idiot teammate thought to make the head of the Inuzuka clan want to take such actions. It's not just Mom but the elders, and the other clansmen as well, myself included, with how he acts. He thinks women are only meant to act as UAL relief, even if it's against their will, since he thinks women are weaker than men while holding no place in the shinobi life. The fact that more than 65% of our clan are women is insulting for us, especially since our clan is about loyalty and family. It's not just the women who are offended by his views but the men too, Hana said, getting a surprised expression from the group. Wow, I knew Kiba was a bastard, but to think that especially about his own family is disconcerting to say the least. What's stopping you guys from booting him out of the clan anyways? Hinata asked with nearly no concern in her voice. The only reason we aren't kicking him out is because of our values of family, even if he doesn't share the same feelings as the rest of us. But at the recent meeting between clansmen, Mom said if he stepped out of line one more time he'd be out of the Inuzuka clan. Have Akamaru taken from him and his fangs changed to purple, the ultimate sign of disgrace for an Inuzuka, Hana said, making Anko whistle. Well, and not to sound like a bitch, despite that being my comfort zone along with a horny and sadistic woman being my other, but from what you've said it honestly sounds like you all already written him off. I mean, he isn't exactly a bleeding heart, Anko said, getting a nod. To be honest, we kind of already have. This isn't something we've just discussed but rather things from long points of time, and we've already started to distance ourselves from him, although it's a slow process with me and Mom. I mean, we've done absolutely everything we could for him when we weren't busy with missions or clan meetings, Hana replied, getting a nod from the others as they went silent for a moment. Lunch is ready if you're all hungry, Naruto said, making the group get up while Naruto placed 3 small dishes for Hana's partners on the floor. This is great, Hana said, getting a chorus of agreement from the others, making him scratch the back of his head in embarrassment. Well, I'm just fortunate that the seals that were placed in here preserved the foods, or things would be rather thin, Naruto responded when he heard a knocking at the door, making Naruto stop as he got up from between Hana and Kagaya. Opening the door, Naruto saw it was the Hokage with a woman with purple hair and a cat mask wearing the Anbu attire, making Naruto bow, saying, "It's a pleasure to see you, Hokage Gigi. Yugo Ne-chan, what can I do for the two of you today? Care to come inside? I just made lunch, but I can make some more for the two of you if you want." Why, thank you, Naruto, that would be nice, and I may not have said this yet, but it's good to see the real you again, Hiruzen said, walking in with Yugo, who removed her mask, showing she had delicate features and full lips with black eyes. Kagaya-san, it's a pleasure to see you again, and I hope you can forgive me for not keeping a keener eye on my student, he said while Kagaya waved him off. It's fine, Hiruzen, like we told Naruto-kun, you couldn't have known he'd do something like that, but why are you here exactly? She asked seriously, getting a chuckle from the aged leader. Well, you see, the tournament fights have been announced, and since me and well present here know where you two live, I figured I'd deliver the knowledge myself and tell you of the events that transpired after Ino-chan's father delved into Kakashi's mind. Speaking of, here you go, he said, pulling out 4 thick medium-length scrolls. It's true he hadn't trained you or your other teammate Sakura at all, so as recompense for such a dangerous exam and several life-threatening instances you experienced under his guide, he had to give up several jutsu of various elements he knew, including his 2 personally created jutsu, Hiruzen said, getting a nod, making Naruto look over the large scrolls before nodding. Now, as for the Chunin exam final matches, the fights have been set up as so, with the first round being you, Naruto, against the Sound Genin. The second round involves Hinata and Ino, The third brings Sasuke and Gaara. The fourth is Shikamaru and Temari, while the fifth is Shino and Kankuro. Hiruzen said, getting a nod from the three genin before Naruto's eyes widened before slapping his forehead, getting everyone's attention. What's the matter, Naruto-kun? Yugo asked, getting a sigh from him. I got to go see Temari. Kami knows she's pissed since I stopped talking to her. That goes for Suhaime and Shizu-chan as well since I was sealed away. Why is it Kami has me attracted to women who know how to hurt me should the need be? Naruto asked himself, getting a chuckle from the group present. Maybe you did something in a past life? Kagaya said, getting a chuckle from Naruto. If anything, that's the most likely assumption. Oh well, I gotta get a message out to Tsunade and let her know what has happened. I'll have to face the music with Temari myself before the finals. Maybe I should get a cup just in case she carries that fan like a club, Naruto said with a shiver, getting a chuckle from Hiruzen. Afraid of a young girl, Naruto? You're someone who stands above even an army of S-rank ninja. How does a young girl frighten you? He asked, getting a blank stare from Naruto. Even a demon with the coldest heart would fear the righteous fury of women if it was them in my place, Naruto answered, sweating as he replied in a robotic voice with the girls grinning at him. Good boy, Hana said, patting his head, making him stare at her while she did the same with him before he huffed. Woof, he said blandly, making her pat his head affectionately while he rolled his eyes silently, enjoying the affection. Well, Naruto, I expect to see you and the others on time for the finals, otherwise you will be disqualified, Hiruzen warned, getting a nod from Naruto and the others before Naruto snapped his fingers. Oh, Yugo Ne-chan here. I had a clone finish the rest of Hayate-ni's medicine by the finals. He should be back in top physical condition, he said, getting an appreciative nod from the masked Kunoichi. Anything I should relay to him? She asked, making Naruto nod. Yeah, tell him to follow the same process as the last batch. Never take one on an empty stomach, and he should take 2 a day, 1 during the day and 1 at night with no alcohol. It will make him groggy at first, but that's normal with the herbs and such I've blended them with, but he will adjust, Naruto said, getting another appreciative nod, allowing the 2 shinobi to walk out of his home. Hey Foxy, why don't you go talk to Temari after you walk Hana here home? See if she's willing to talk with you? Anko suggested, getting a chorus of nods from the other girls while Naruto was silent. Come on Naruto-kun, I know you're nervous, but you'll have to bite the bullet sooner or later. Wouldn't you rather strike now while the iron is hot instead of waiting for the memories and doubt to fester, making her regret things? Hana said, making him put his head down before nodding. Yeah, you're right. Whether she wishes to continue is up to her, but I'd rather get this out there now instead of having her think I'm some garbage who played with her emotions, Naruto said, getting up with no small amount of confidence. That's the way, Foxy, go get your desert flower, Ino said supportively, making him chuckle as he, Hana and her partners made it for the door with Temari being on the other end. Hello my Subaku no Hana, desert flower, Naruto said, getting a slap to the face, making everyone stare at her as she pushed her way in. You have a lot of explaining to do, Naruto. Uzumaki Uchiha Namikaze Senju Otsutsuki. For nearly 8 years you haven't returned a single one of my letters. Then during the exams I could take the fact you didn't want to answer why or how you knew a team from another village, but after the fact you chose to just vanish after the preliminaries. I searched the village all over for your long-haired ass for an entire day, and I had to follow the Hokage while he was on his way here, Temari said, continuing to punch him before they became dull, as she was now lightly pounding on his chest as her voice became ragged. Wrapping his arms around her waist while the other held the back of her head, Temari tried to push her away from the comforting warmth that flooded her senses. I'll admit, Temari-chan, that I could have said something after the preliminaries, but after all that had happened I figured you might want to think it over after everything that was said. As for not returning your letters, that was all because of the bastard Toad Sage, Naruto said, combing his hand through her hair. T the Hermit? What does he have to do with anything? Temari asked, looking up with her teal eyes glistening with tears, making Naruto growl silently. It's true, Temari-chan, me and Ino were forced to have our memories blocked, as were our personalities. The sage even sealed away Kagaya-chan in the Forest of Death. We didn't change back until the second exam. Hinata supported, getting a nod from the others. So you honestly expect me to believe some world-renowned pervert willingly placed seals on 3 clan heirs and matriarch to either lock them away or manipulate them? What for? She asked, slowly believing Hinata since she was known as the honest one. He received a prophecy about someone who could alter the fate of the shinobi world by destroying it or saving it, I can't bring myself to remember because it was from the mouth of a toad with Alzheimer's. Despite it being true, it was a prophecy by Kami herself and it was not to be manipulated, and he knew Naruto was being trained and being cared for. He wanted Naruto to be loyal to the village and not anyone else, so he did what he did to all of us, Kagaya said honestly, making Temari stare into Kagaya and the other's eyes. Say I do believe you. What's to stop him from trying it again? Temari asked, getting a chuckle from everyone as they pointed to the boy holding her as his eyes were sharp with reptilian slits. Naruto-kun has a serious bone to pick with the pervert. The only reason he hasn't hunted the toad down and killed him now is because he's the village's spy master. If the Hokage didn't need him, Naruto would have killed him, Hana said, getting a nod from Naruto as he growled at the thought of the pervert. Sorry for hitting you, Naruto-kun, Temari said, getting a chuckle from Naruto as he kissed her forehead. It's fine, I deserved it for not coming to you after I woke back up. It was my fault, he said, placing his fingers under her chin as he planted a soft kiss on her lips before pulling back, seeing she still had her eyes closed in bliss, making him chuckle. Opening her eyes, she said, I have something important to tell you all, the Hokage too. What is so important to have to talk to the old man? Naruto said, getting a sigh from her as she looked away slightly. Suna is planning an invasion during the finals. All of a sudden my dad changed and started to go around riling up the ninja at Suna about how our daimyo is giving our missions away to Konoha and stealing income. Some new village was founded and came to us for an alliance to help wage war. He was a freaky looking guy, too, pale skin with purple markings around his creepy yellow eyes, she said, making Anko stand up while Naruto nodded. Orochimaru, I knew he had more of a reason to come to Konoha for more than just my lackluster cousin. He wants to destroy the village or kill the old man. It's one of the two, and neither are my utmost favorite of choices, Naruto said with a frown on his face. You do know you would have to stay here if your team, or worse Orochimaru, found out you told the village he's intending to attack about his plan, right? This could also label you as a traitor, he said, getting a nod from her as she pulled out her scrolls filled with clothes and supplies. I already figured as much. Since dad changed, things in the village got worse. When you stopped returning my messages, I felt like I had nothing left since my little brother was turned into a psychotic killer. And Kankuro is some asshole who just doesn't give a damn about anyone but himself, especially when Gar is concerned, she said, getting a nod from the others. Well then I guess we should get to the old man and talk with him about this so we're prepared. I'd hate to be unprepared for the impending invasion, Naruto said, getting a nod from the others as they walked out of the compound. Hokage Tower, care to run this by me again? You're telling me Suna is invading with the assistance of my former student? Hiruzen said, getting a nod from Temari, who sighed. First my student Jiraiya and now my old student Orochimaru. I knew I should have killed him when I had the chance all those years ago. I'll have to be prepared. Anything major I should know? Hiruzen asked, getting a nod from Temari. Orochimaru has a couple squads of summoners who has the snake contract that will be stationed outside the village to attack. He has a personal guard squad of 4 shinobi each with some form of bloodline, except a red-headed girl with a sharp tongue and crass language that could make a sailor blush. In the stands he will have Suna and Otto Ninja disguised as civilians to watch the matches, and some point during the match between Gaara and Sasuke he will start the invasion, which will be triggered by one massive genjutsu while my brother releases the One Tails to attack Konoha, she explained, getting a nod from him. It seems I'll have to prepare my troops. Naruto, do you think you can get your clones to be prepared for the summoning squad? He asked, getting a nod from Naruto. Yeah, I can get some clones out tonight and place seals that will not only trap them but also cut off their chakra. It should be rather simple in terms of other seals I've developed, Naruto said, getting a nod from the elder. What about the other points? I mean, the redhead sounds like a potential clansman. I'll be damned if I let Orochimaru gets away with that, Naruto said, getting a chuckle from Hiruzen. Don't worry Naruto, I have that planned out, but what I need is for all of you to be fighting ready. Kagaya, do you think you can be my guard for the finals? I'll have seals placed for Naruto to get to us and help, but we need to deal with Gaara. A raging Jinchuriki is a bad idea, he said, getting a nod from the others. We can do it, no problem. As for the fighting ready Gigi, I'll have to do that to get them ready. You know that, Gigi? Naruto said, getting a nod, making Anko, Hana and Temari stare at him with a raised eyebrow. What is that, and why are you all being so quiet? Hana asked, staring at those who are aware of what he's talking about. When Naruto-kun says that, He means his special training with a technique based off of Kaguya's technique. He creates a space with its own frame of time with enhanced gravity that will allow for a person to train more in more time as opposed to the standard training others would. Using this in conjunction with various skills, it makes us stronger. To be honest, we could possibly get nearly a full year's worth of training in the special place if we do, Hinata explained, making the three kunoichi stare at him. What? It's perfectly safe. I mean, besides a minor disclaimer of having you grow at that span of time instead of normal, you would technically be a single year or more older than you would normally. This is accepted by us because, as I told you before, I'm not human and demons have their own lifespans that trump that of a normal human for an indefinite amount of years. Naruto-kun marked us all so we would live far longer than any of our friends, Naruto said, making the three stare at him. What are these seals exactly? Temari asked, confused, as Naruto tilted his head lightly. Gravity and resistance seals, which would help with physical training, making you stronger, faster, and work on your stamina and endurance. With the last seal being a chakra depletion seal, which will drain your reserves until you suffer chakra exhaustion at night and pushes it back in, making the coils expand till you match my own or close, Naruto said, making a question mark form above the three girls' heads, seeing the blush on his cheeks. What would you be doing beforehand to make our coils match yours, and by that standard why are you blushing? Hana asked, confused, with Anko and Temari being just as confused. You would have to be marked by Naruto-kun here. The seal would pick up on your mark and match his own, making you develop a stronger physique, high Yukai pools, demonic qualities like claws and strong bones, and a more muscular frame. Of course, once I mark you, no other man or woman's touch will feel remotely as pleasant. The thought of others being intimate with you will disgust you, and any other things that involve intimacy or coitus with other people will be disgusting to you. He explained, making the three blush, while Kaguya gained a slight ting of pink form on hers. All the while the Hokage giggled before he cut him a glare, making him whistle while looking away before Naruto was turned to face the three women, who each placed a kiss on his lips. We can talk tonight, Foxy, Hana said with a purr before he shook his head, gaining his grip on reality. For now, Naruto, you're all dismissed. I do expect you all to be prepared for the finals and the countermeasures, Hiruzen said, getting a nod from the group as they left his office. So when do we start training, and what exactly would we be training in? Hana asked as Naruto scratched the back of his head before he stopped with a sigh. Konohamaru, nice attempt, but for the last time, a rock doesn't have eye holes. Moegi, you're holding the tarp horizontally when it should be upward, and Udon, do something about that snot bubble. You're not 5, Naruto said, pinching the bridge of his nose, making the group of girls look around to see who he was talking to before noticing the medium-sized rock that had a pair of eye holes. The fence was horizontal on one portion of the fence, while the other end was lateral, and the final one was a small bird with a snot bubble coming from its nose. Ah, boss, you always find us, they heard when the area was covered in smoke, getting a series of coughs from the others. I think you used too much gunpowder for the smoke bomb, a young girl's voice said, getting a groan from the first voice when it cleared, showing three children. Naruto-kun, who are these three little cuties? Ino said, gushing at the three kids, who grinned as the three got in their signature poses. I'm Konohamaru Sarutobi, future Hokage of Konoha, Konohamaru said with a grin. I'm Moegi, the cutest girl in the academy, she said, doing a small twirl followed by a wink. And I'm Udon, I like math, he said, adjusting his glasses. And we're. The three kids started when Naruto gained a small grin. Mildly annoying? Naruto said, making the three face fault while Naruto had a small grin on his face. Ah, come on, Ni-chan, you promised you'd train us today, and what happened to your hair? Konohamaru said, making the group stare at the multicolored teen. Well, for the training I have no problems with. As for the last one, long and overly complex, I'll tell you at another time, Naruto said, getting a nod from the three. What do you do to train them, Naruto-kun? Temari asked, making the three kids stare at the women around him. Feeling a tugging on his hakama pants, he turned his attention to Konohamaru stare at him. Hey Ni-chan, are they your? He said, raising his pinky, making him turn to see the girls stare at him before turning back to Konohamaru. Yeah, they are, he said, making the young boy smile. They're really pretty, he whispered, getting a chuckle from Naruto and the others while he cut a sly glance at the others. I know, right? Naruto said, getting a nod from the other two while the girls blushed before Naruto clapped his hands. Alright, we have some things to handle, so we're going to have to work on this for a moment. I'll count to 10, go. Naruto said as he turned around, closing his eyes, counting out loud, allowing the 3 kids to run from the alley. Now let's see where they are, Naruto said, kneeling to the ground, pulsing his chakra before he grinned and slowly walked the way the 3 ran as he was followed by the others. Making it to the marketplace, Naruto tapped a random stranger saying, "Udon, if you're going to disguise yourself, at least make sure the person you're changing into isn't on the same street." From the smoke the man Udon was changed into was replaced with the child, making Naruto pat his head, making him follow the group. Walking past a fruit vendor with 2 cats, he stopped before backpedaling as he turned his attention to the 2 identical calico cats before comparing the features when he noticed the permanent blush on the cat on the left, who tried to make a run for it only to be stopped with Naruto gripping the scruff of the feline's neck. "Nice try, Moegi, you almost had me if it weren't for the blush on your cheeks," Naruto said as the cat burst into smoke, with Naruto now holding Moegi by the back of her shirt. "Now where is Konohamaru? He usually doesn't." "Konohamaru, you even entertain that idea, and I'll have to explain why the old man's grandson is currently stuck with my foot up his ass, currently awaiting surgery to have it removed," Naruto said simply as everyone looked up to see a large bird positioned above him with a sweat drop on its head. Covered in smoke, the young boy was seen hanging from the line before Naruto grabbed him and sat him down. "Well, I admit you all have improved by a decent degree when it comes to stealth and the henge transformation technique. But you could stand to work on your disguises, as your natures or actions would alert the enemy if you're acting as a spy. So for you 3, here's your homework for the following month. I want you 3 to continue practicing your henge to the point you don't show who you are, so when I test you after the finals we can see if you're ready for your next level of training," Naruto said, getting an excited nod from the 3 as they ran off. "So Naruto-kun, how about you head to Hana's house and talk to Sume, see how she's doing," Anko suggested as she and the others nodded. "Alright, but after that we will go and start training, so we will meet you at home, Naruto-kun," Kagaya said, kissing him on the lips as the others followed after her, leaving Naruto and Hana. "Shall we get a move on, Naruto-kun? I know mom is going to be happy to see you," Hana said, getting a nod from Naruto as the group of humans and Ninken head to the Inuzuka clan home. Inuzuka clan compound. "Man, I haven't been here in years, so nostalgic," Naruto said, getting a chuckle from the brunette, making him raise an eyebrow. "What?" he said, making her laugh harder before catching his breath as she sighed from how hard she laughed. "You just sound like an old man from the way you said that." "Come on Gramps, let's go see mom and tell her of what happened," she said, making him roll his eyes at her comment about his old man act. "Then slow down, young lady, I ain't as limber as I was in my youth. Damn kids these days and their tight clothes and small attire. I remember in my day a girl's clothes covered everything and they didn't walk around in spandex shorts or fishnet," he said, grumbling, making her laugh harder from his elderly man act. Opening the door to the main house for her and her family, she said, "Mom. You hear, I got a surprise for you I know you're going to love." "I'm in the kitchen, hold on," a voice said in the aforementioned room when from the doorway out came a woman with animalistic traits much like the rest of her clan, but she had a strong similarity to Kiba. She had long, spiky, untamed brown hair and vertical black slit-like pupils. She wore a pair of Shinobi pants with a fishnet shirt on, clinging to her figure with a towel around her neck and a bottle of water in hand close to her supple lips that was painted with purple lipstick, which was framed by the 2 fang marks on both cheeks. Next to her was a large wolf-like dog coming up to her hip and stood at her waist on all 4s with black and white fur with an ear and eye missing, which was covered by an eye patch. Looking at Naruto, Sume said, "Well Hana, I didn't know you were seeing anybody, he's a good catch, but what's this surprise? Not that this isn't nice." Taking a mock sniff, he said, "Oh, I'm hurt, Inu Oju, dog queen. I know we haven't seen each other for some time, but I thought a slightly memory would come to you." Raising an eyebrow, Kuromaru sniffed him, making him say, "It's great to see you too, Kuromaru. Gigi, still large and in charge, are you?" Taking a step back, Kuromaru said, "How do you know me, kid? I feel like I know you. Your scent is familiar, but I just can't place it." Turning to Hana, she nodded as the heiress said, "Mom, you remember about 8 years ago a boy would come to the compound to bring injured animals to us to heal on a basis before he started coming around regardless of an injured animal or no. Even made the 2 of us a promise before he went missing some time later, and a little blonde loud mouth came into the fray with the same name." Looking at him, she and Kuromaru stared at him and into his eyes before a memory flashed into their heads. Flashback. "So Naruto-kun, what is it you want to do when you're older?" Sume asked with Hana sitting with her as the two were substantially younger than they were currently as a young Naruto sat across from them wearing a pair of black shorts and a muscle shirt. I'm going to become stronger so one day you two will be my brides, he said making the two stare at him wide-eyed. Aren't we a bit too old for you? I mean granted you're a sweet boy, nicer than any man that's tried making a move on either of us but we're too old for you and why would you want us as your bride's pup? Sume said getting a nod from her daughter while Naruto chuckled. That's why I'm going to become a ninja and become the strongest in the village. As for why I love my precious people you, Hana-chan, Kagaya-chan and the others mean a lot to me and I'd do anything for you all, he said making a blush form on both of their cheeks while their partners who were listening chuckled before they received a harsh glare. So you're dead set on hooking up with an old bitch huh Naruto-kun? Fine we'll make a bet since you're so sweet. When you enter the Chunin exams you have to pass all of them and make it to at least Chunin rank. If you do this I'll take you on and be one of your mates. Hana doesn't need to test you since you're already doing better in her books since you treat women with respect, a major attraction point in our books since we want mates who are loyal, devoted and loving. Can you hold your end of the bargain Naruto-kun? Sume said getting a determined nod from Naruto. Just you watch Sume-chan. Hana-chan I'll show the two of you that I am worthy, just you wait, Naruto said with conviction as he smiled at the two of them before they got up and planted a kiss on both of his cheeks making him blush. End flashback. Naruto-kun? Sume said getting a nod from Naruto before he was slapped in the face making his eyebrow twitch. I guess it's National Slap Naruto Day. Guess I didn't get the memo. Wait, is this for me beating Kiba or not talking to you for 8 years? He said rubbing his cheek as he stared into the eyes of the pissed Inuzuka matriarch. Where the hell did you go? Me, Hana and the others tore the village apart looking for you only to find a blonde Gaki who didn't remember anything, she said grabbing him by his shirt with him stare into her eyes with a sad smile. That blonde loud mouth was me. Sometime after that promise was made a certain toad sage sealed Kagaya-chan away while sealing me in my own mind while he forged a false persona without my memories or skills to take over to be molded. He did the same with Ino and Hinata. By the way, what's with everyone's first reaction to take to finding me or seeing me again being to slap me? Naruto said indicating to the firm handprint that pulsed angrily on his cheek before it faded in seconds. She chuckled before growling as she said, wait a second, that perverted toad did that to you. Why the hell haven't you killed him yet? He shrugged saying, he's the village's spy master, that's the only reason I haven't ripped the flesh from his bones and used him as a hammock to sleep on. This is the only chance I'm giving him because he tries that again or forces me into anything his life will come to a rather abrupt end. It's good to see you again pup, I can see you still exude that aura of a unadulterated alpha. It's more refined, if anything it's greater than it was when I last saw you, Kuromaru said getting a chuckle from Naruto. What can I say when you're stuck in a tiny corner of your own mind? All you can do is train and practice and reread all the books you've read in your mind while coming up with jutsu. Is she still here? Naruto asked getting a nod from Kuromaru before he ran off into the compound. He's here? A high-pitched voice said when a fast pace of padded feet bound through the compound when Naruto was tackled by a black-a-gray blur. Naruto. You're here. You're here. You're here. I missed you so much bro. A large black and gray fox, wolf mixed breed with white eyes and multiple tails and thick fur around the neck with a slim physique. It's good to see you too Tsukiyumi-chan, long time no see, Naruto said as he sat up when the large mixed breed let him up. She was a good head shorter than Kuromaru due to the fact that like all the Inuzuka Ninken, Tsukiyumi was bonded to Naruto, sharing his chakra, making her a demon and substantially larger than any of the other dogs in the compound save for Kuromaru himself, who taught her to talk outside of a transformation. Where the hell have you been for so long big bro? Being around Uncle Kuromaru is awesome and all, but I missed my big bro, Tsukiyumi said, making Naruto sigh as he directed everyone to the couch and table. Explaining everything, Sume said as she directed her attention to Hana, so you decided to let him mate you? Getting a blush from her, Sume grinned before directing her attention to Naruto saying, well, judging from how long my idiot son was griping about how the Dobi beat him with an illusion, it's suffice to say that you'll have the exams in the bag. If anything, the greatest competition I'll have are Shikamaru in terms of intellect and planning, Tamari and Gaara due to their long-range tactics, as well as Ino and Hinata despite training with them. Everyone else is simple, Naruto said getting a chuckle. There's also something you should know. During the third round of the Chunin finals, Orochimaru will launch an invasion on the village with Suna. The Hokage already knows, and we came up with a plan to neutralize him with the help of one of Suna's kunoichi telling us of the plan, so we have the step ahead of him, Naruto said, getting a nod from the older woman. Well, since you have everything planned, then let me give you a bit of incentive to win the exams and ensure your promotion, Sume said, gripping his shirt, and pulled him into a kiss before she pulled back, leaving him winded. That is incentive to try harder in the exams, get promoted, and I'll have a nice little treat waiting for you at your house, Sume said with a purr, making him nod absently. I'll be going with Naruto-kun during the training for the month, so we're ready for the invasion, Hana said, getting a nod from her mother. Will I get to do the same when the invasion's over? Sume asked, getting a nod from Naruto, making her give him one last kiss before they heard. Hey mom, Hana, either of you here? A familiar voice said, making Naruto groan in the kiss as he pulled back reluctantly. I better get out of here because I'm in no mood to deal with Kiba's wounded pride, Naruto said as he put his hand on Tsukiyumi's back. I'll see you when you get back, Hana-chan. See you, Sume-chan, Kuromaru Jiji, Naruto said as the two vanished in a swirling vortex in time as Kiba walked in. Namikaze Uzumaki Estate. Hey Naruto-kun, you're back, Kagaya said, seeing Naruto and Tsukiyumi reappear in the home. Kagaya-chan, it's great to see you, Tsukiyumi said, padding towards her as she was patted on the head by Kagaya. It's great to see you too, Tsukiyumi. Where's Hana? Kagaya asked as they sat at the table. When we went to Hana's house, Kiba was about to walk in and I was in no mood to deal with his wounded ego. She should be on her way here in a moment, Naruto said, getting a nod from the others. So when Hana gets here we can go over our training for the month? Tamari asked, getting a nod from Naruto. Just what are we working on for the month anyway? Tamari asked as Naruto pulled out a piece of paper. Well, for the month we're going to be working on ninjutsu, taijutsu, and other techniques that will work for you all. For this month you will know hell and relish in it, as you will be even more powerful than what you could imagine, Naruto said with a grin that Kagaya copied as the others stared at them with a shiver. Hearing the door open, Hana walked in with a large duffel bag and her ninkin as she said, well, now we can get started with training. Just so you know, when we get to the training ground, Kagayaheim and I will run each and every one of you into the ground, Naruto said as the group nodded, slightly intimidated. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.
More videos coming soon.